On this episode of Beer, Blues, and BS, Kidder's watching the Avs game. I'm not, which means they might stand a chance of winning. We're going to talk some playoff hockey, get you updated on that. We're also going to talk a little bit about some board game stuff. So, hey, if you're into that kind of board game world, this one's got some stuff for you. And, hey, one of my great obsessions is back, and I'm excited to talk to you about it. And Kidder's got something to rant about. And so, you know it's got to be a good show. So strap in, make sure you got a beverage. You're in a good place. Welcome to the show.
It's Howard Blues and V. Mark Kidder. Pour a cold beverage, porpoises, enjoy time with friends.
The Triple B! Well, the Triple B sucks. Okay?
Oh, come on.
Whatever, man. This is Beer, Blues, and BS. Online at beerbluesbs.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beer, Blues, and BS, the podcast of cardboard swords and plastic cutlery. I'm your host, Howard Blues, here, as always, with my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the Mark Kidder. Kidder, how's the trucking tonight?
Where'd you get on there and tell you what, man? Dang old thing just run mile after mile after mile after mile, and it's just a USA from top to bottom, side to side. 18 wheels of steel rolling down the highway, and we're just taking a break so we can just get on around here and have ourselves a couple beverages and get old-fashioned. What's it to you?
Yeah, that was wow, Kidder, you're really taking this whole trucking simulator thing a bit too seriously, man. I'm starting to get a little worried. You know?
Well, let me tell you what. I don't have the whole truck set up. I don't have the wheel. I don't have the pedals. I don't have all the gadgets and widgets and all that sort of thing. And a fully immersive simulator. But you know what? Trucking's a lifestyle.
You know, though, you do have all the monitors for it. I mean, you're set
Almost.
up that way. We just need to get you the wheel and the pedals and the trucker hat, you know, the basset hound that sits next to you.
Well, I got an Orion.
Not the same as a basset hound, man.
Got Orion. There he is. Right? He says yes. And he's usually hanging out right there on my side as I'm moving them 18 wheels, getting some heavy metal, pedal down to that metal as well, rolling. He's usually right here by my side. And then I got a trucker hat somewhere around here I could get put up on top of my old head there.
Yeah. The basset hound was more of a reference to Smokey and the Bandit, but
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I know. But still.
Here's a fun one, Kidder. You know, because we now live in the days where Hollywood is just like pulling up any old IP and making a remake, a reboot, a restart. How long do you think it is before we get a Smokey and the Bandit reboot?
You know, I almost think they're not going to. And my reasoning for that is because it's trucking and driving. And we've already had coming up on the 10th Fast and the Furious movie, if you count the originals. So I almost think people are getting tired of driving.
Yeah, but you know, Smokey and the Bandit's different than Fast and Furious, you know. Fast and Furious kind of hits more of like the hot rod car junkie action movie, where Smokey and the Bandit was much more like Southern country comedy and action. You know, it's a little different feel and flair. And I mean, when has Hollywood ever stopped to think about maybe people are tired of this?
That's true, but in this day and age, I do have to say that it's not going to work as well, because now with all of the advent of technology and simple things of radio usage and the internet.
Yeah, but you know, here's the thing. Who says that you have to make it modern?
Well, that's Hollywood. They would make it modern. You know, the 18-wheeler would have satellite dishes on the top and an tracking coding, so then the radar can't lock onto it, even though that's not how police K-band radar works. And same thing with LiDAR. That's not how LiDAR works. But anyway, and then there would have to be, I don't know, another 12 people involved and get this whole team in there. And the car, it couldn't be a Pontiac anymore because Pontiac is dead. And so then it would probably be like a Chevy Camaro, but then it would have to be an electric vehicle. And then every 122 miles, they would have to stop overnight to charge it, plug it in. And then the truck would have solar panels on it, and they think that they could get ahead. And I mean, I just wrote the whole plot of the movie, and there's the realism behind it. And then in the movie, they would get from, let's just say, Atlanta to Los Angeles in a day with an electric vehicle and not have to charge it or anything. It sounds exactly like what that movie would be if they made it.
Sounds good. Let's green light it and go start getting some people to invest. And while we wait for people to start calling us, wanting to put this movie out there, Kidder, I think it's time for What's on Tap.
Yeah, we can do that. For a second, I thought you were going to throw out that you can support our show by buying us a beer or buying some merch, helping us out. Of course, the lazy goalie himself, Rude Boy Cale, throwing some cash at our show to keep it going. So a big thanks to the Rude Boy Cale for making things happen there. And 2 ways now to visit us and help us. First, of course, is beerbluesbs.com. And on our website, it's the Buy Us a Beer button or the merch store. But we also have a second merch store, and that's the second option through Streamlabs. Yes, you remember we did the live show. We have a live show Streamlabs merch store and also the ability to buy us a beer through there. So a couple different ways to support us and keep us going for yet another week or two, eastbound and down.
Kidder, the only time I plug this show or beg for money is apparently when we are going to make a terrible remake of a beloved, car movie.
Oh, now is that Smokey and the Bandit 2 or 3?
Listen.
Woo! Yeah! Woo! But I have something to say.
Truthfully, the first one is my favorite. The whole elephant thing of the second one gets a little ridiculous, and the third one, I just was always disappointed we didn't get Burt Reynolds. I mean, I love to see Snowman drive the car, but I missed the interplay between Snowman and the Bandit. That was always the best part, at least for me.
Well, I mean, that's what happens, cutbacks. It's kind of like the Marine, right? In fact, that's probably what's going to happen with this. The first movie will have The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson star. He'll be a Snowman. Let's just say that he's Snowman. And John Cena will be Bandit. And Ronda Rousey will be... what's her name again? We'll go with that. And then by the third movie, The Rock won't be in there, and so it'll be Kevin Hart who takes over as Snowman.
see, I would have thought that it would have been The Rock as the Bandit and Kevin Hart as Snowman.
Oh, right away.
Right away. I think that they would just continue to play off that dynamic.
Okay.
For that, because couldn't you see that, like, Kevin Hart, because he usually plays that like panicky character, really loud, sitting in the truck like, where the hell are you? And The Rock just like, giving kind of his cool action guy.
Blue hell.
You know,
Yes.
hang on, good buddy. I can smell what I'm cooking. I don't know. Listen, these are neither people that I can do impressions of, and especially without us having some vocal lubrication. So I'm going to bring us back around, Kidder.
Okay.
Because we're now doing like donuts. So like I'm going to introduce what's on tap again and get ready for Smokey and the Bandit talk round 3. I mean, it's just how this is going. So, Kidder, I know you're reaching for something. Everybody, if you watched last week, you know what I'm having because I told you all. I put it out there. And so, Kidder, me being the most relevant host on this show. Oh, you're going to grab that one.
What, am I not supposed to have this one?
Well, you know, that's what I was going to do for the second one because
Okay. There's going to be number 2 and
because I was going to say, Kidder, because you and the local geek both had Laughing Sun Space Pro Blue last week. So look, I got one.
What?
I got one. Yeah.
Hey, there it is.
Yeah. Thanks to Kidder, I have one of these. So, yeah. So as I said, I'm the most relevant host on the show, keeping up with everybody. Oh yeah.
I mean, I do have another one. I could have one with you.
I mean, listen, that's up to you. But
I might have to start drinking because the Avalanche goal was called back as an offside ruling, apparently, even though the puck was in the zone before Bowen Byram. So clearly the officials are paid off. So go ahead, crack that thing open. We need to start drinking.
yeah, and I'm Kidder. I mean, bad news right on top of this because for those who maybe didn't actually watch last week, so this is a blueberry sour ale. And everybody knows my luck with blueberry beer just in life. So blueberries, slightly sweet, tart. We'll see how it goes. Well, it's definitely sour. And I can taste the blueberries.
Very good.
I'm not going to say that it's bad, but it's not for me. I don't know. I just don't like the blueberry taste in it. I think it's because when I have like a sour, I want more of like the citrus, fruit. And I don't know. Blueberries, I don't know.
Well, the good news for you is that Laughing Sun has a variety of sours in the Space Probe line. And look at that. He has another one for later that you can't see because I'm not recording.
That was last week. Last week, man. That's the peaches and cream I had last week.
You still have some left from last week?
No, because we went so late last week, because we did the Impossible Music Challenge, I didn't carry the cans upstairs. So,
I thought you were still nursing that from last week.
No, and truthfully, it's been such a week. I haven't gotten down to the cave, so it's a little messy down here. This is like the first time I've been down here in a week. Kidder, what you having?
Well, I pulled this one out of the fridge because you said the other one is going to have to wait. And this one is courtesy of the local geek and his network of spies across the country, taking us to your old stomping grounds of Spearfish, South Dakota, for the Pile of Dirt border. It's a pile of dirt right there, handcrafted in the Black Hills at the Crow Peak Brewing Company. Now, this is a 6% by volume beverage. It's 12 fluid ounces in this aluminum can. Recycle. And peace, love, and funk. There you go. Don't drink this around anybody named Terry, I guess. Now, judging by the can, as I drop this into the Superior North Dakota Yeti, this is probably going to be pretty dark porter. So let's see how dirty this porter is. Smells very chocolatey and does not smell like dirt. Well, it's very dark tasting. I wouldn't go to the dirt flavor, but yeah. Dark chocolate. And the Kraken just scored.
Man.
All right.
Not our night.
All hope is gone. Well, I mean, it's either win tonight and Sunday or go home. And we'll get to hockey later. I think the cargo for the Bandit remake would have to be something ridiculous, like an EMP, or maybe the Rock's family got captured, and he's forced to smuggle a load of narcotics across the border, and then it wouldn't be as funny as the original, and a bunch of explosions and stuff.
See, but I don't know that we need that. Why can't we just go back to smuggling beer from Texarkana? I mean,
because it's Hollywood. Why would you want to leave a good thing?
I think that you could do it. It's if you could still tie it in a little bit, change it up a bit. Maybe The Rock is hired by a craft brewery that's been trying to get its, brew into the hands of some good people, but unfortunately the big beer corporations are keeping them down, and they can't get through. And see, because everybody, it's Hollywood. They love to beat up on corporations. Perfect. They're the bad guys. Big corporation beer. Could work.
I could also see them remaking the Blues Brothers, and then instead of singing blues songs, it ends up being like country folk.
Yeah.
The not so Blues Brothers sisters.
I kind of hope that like Blues Brothers 2000 like was the one remake, and because that really like bombed. I like it, you like it, but for the most like general public, it bombed.
A really good soundtrack.
Yeah, fantastic soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it worked for a modern audience.
And then there's my argument against a new Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, listen, I didn't say that it would be successful or that it would launch a whole. It's just that they go to the well and like, okay, we're going to remake Smokey and the Bandit, and then it'll probably flop, and we're like, well, that was a terrible idea, and they'll move on to the next beloved nostalgic, IP.
Like the first remake of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something that's not so depressing.
I don't think that's going to happen, Kidder. I've seen what you have labeled topic 2. So far, Kidder, I feel like there's definitely a funk hanging over you, a dark cloud, if you will. Our Avs are losing. We've been talking about how Hollywood could screw up a beloved, movie classic. And topic 2 says that you're going to do some ranting and raving. So,
well, you know what really grinds my gears of sorts? Being
peanut butter whiskey in your old fashioned.
That's definitely going to grind some gears to a halt right there. Some seizing going on, and then some ass whooping. But really, what pisses me off is the WWE draft. And why? Why does it make me mad? Because everybody else just laughs at it, and I'm the one that just gets upset with it. Well, here's why I'm pissed, because it doesn't matter. The draft is stupid. It's a waste of time. It's 2 shows that shuffle everything around, and it's just a joke. And the first night continues to show why it's a joke. All right, here are the results, because you need to know. And this is what I was catching up on before I came down here. The bloodline of Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman drafted to SmackDown. That means that the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, i.e. the black belt and the blue belt, or whatever color it is now, go to SmackDown, meaning the brand new, redesigned WWE World Heavyweight Championship is the Raw Championship. And once again, they have 2 belts, 2 championships for 2 different shows. And I despise it. I hate it. I didn't like it when they had it all through the 2000s into the 2010s. Make 1 championship, and that is the champion. And then have other belts. Wait, what do you mean other belts? Like the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship? Maybe even the Cruiserweight Championship? Well, whoa, why would we want all those when we can have another title of the top tier that means nothing? Well, there it is. That goes to Raw. So guess what? Who's going to Raw? That's right, Cody Rhodes. So who's probably going to win the championship first? Cody Rhodes. Also, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair drafted to SmackDown, so that will probably mean that the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley will go to Raw, and then they'll do the old switch like Becky and Charlotte did. Speaking of Becky, she goes to Monday Night Raw. I hate the draft. I hate it. I hate locking people into only one show, and then the whole brand war that they have for bragging rights and that kind of garbage. I despise it. Interesting notes is Michael P.S. Hayes was there announcing some of the hey, there's a goal. There it is. The Moose on the loose. Tied 1-1. Here we go. Let's go, Avs. And then here's a surprise announcer for you, announcing the picks of the brands. WWE Hall of Famer Rob Van Dam.
Interesting.
Right. Considering he's pretty sure he's still under contract with another promotion.
He is right now.
Then it moves on to another round 2. That's who RVD and Michael Hayes announced. Street Profits at Edge go to SmackDown. Imperium and Matt Riddle are on Raw. Should also note that the first round was actually announced by Triple H of Raw and SmackDown's picks. Also, a side note, before the show started, there was a dark match before SmackDown went on the air with Lacey Evans and Shotzi, and the match had to end early because Lacey Evans' top came off. Moving on. The next duo to announce the picks for Raw and SmackDown, WWE Hall of Famers John Bradshaw Layfield and Hana player. That's right, Teddy Long. He didn't, but I was hoping he would sentence somebody to a match one-on-one with The Undertaker, but it did not happen. In this round 3, Bobby Lashley and the OC go to SmackDown. Drew McIntyre and The Miz go to Raw. It's nice to see the OC back together, back on TV, because they've been off for, 2 months. And kind of forgotten about, I think. But they destroyed the Viking Raiders, so they'll probably be facing them in a feud in the next couple months here. The final round on SmackDown for tonight, round 4, going to SmackDown, Damage Control and the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Going to Raw, Shinsuke Nakamura for his first time in his career, officially being assigned to Raw. And the NXT Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell. So there is your night 1 picks. Even though everybody is up for grabs, there's only 16 people / teams who were moved around. Which, I mean, for WWE, that is kind of half the roster. But I still hate the draft. It's a waste of time. It should go away. Make the writing better, and then they wouldn't have to have a draft to get interest in people.
Well, I can understand. Because we did a whole episode about the draft. It was episode 24. It was called Drafted. And it was more popular, I think, because it was also the debut of Rum, Rock, and Rumors. So...
Oh, yeah, that sideshow. I wonder how those guys are doing.
One of these days we'll have to check back in with them. But I think that we kind of... I agree with you. I don't like the whole brand warfare side. I don't mind that there are, people assigned to one show or the other, as long as you move them as you need them, Because the stupid thing about the draft in the years past has been there's been all sorts of oh no, they're going to be exclusive to their brand, but then we're going to change the rules because we need people, so we're going to make the rule that 3 people can cross over each night, and it'll be a surprise, and then we're not even going to do that. Sometimes there's going to be 6 people who cross over. It's,
Yep.
And for the last 8 months, while WWE's creative was truly and fully in the hands of Triple H, people were assigned to shows, but if he needed somebody on Raw, they were there. They didn't make up any rules. They didn't make up any reasons. It's just they were there because that was what was best for the story. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay if you want to do this draft to try to you want to shuffle people around, and it's well, we're going to shuffle people around now that Mania's over. Let's have a draft. I get that,
But just have them start showing up on the other show. You don't need a draft. It's a waste of 2 episodes. And I know it's to build the hype and everything because, well, the other sports do a draft. And so, well, WWE is a sport. Let's do a draft there. But no, you don't need to do that. Just take a page out of AEW and just have people show up on a show, and they're usually on that show, like the old days.
I get that. I guess I'm just saying from a storytelling perspective, I'm okay with using it as that, a way to just further the story. But as I would say, I would do it okay, hey, we want to do some major switching around so that we're preparing for the next Mania. So yeah, we're going to do a draft and make something of it. But then, yeah, you're just you could still move people back and forth, and it's really just a story element.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it should be used.
I still don't like it. I don't want anything to do with it. I want it gone. Gone. Done. Never shows up again. I hate it.
I think it's good. I think it's a permanent fixture.
Oh, yeah. I know. At least it's not. Well, in one hand, I'm okay with them not using the sound effect for the with the superstar lottery graphic showing, but I liked that presentation a little bit more as it was a true lottery draft, and then it wasn't so arbitrary of how they do it. Yeah, we made the lists, and now this show gets the pick, and this show gets the pick.
I will say, as a story element, it does work better when you had like the warring GMs, you know, because then it made sense for like the story. Like you have who was it? You had like Bischoff versus McMahon, you know. It made sense in a story like, okay, yep, we're gonna draft who we think we need to make our show the best, you know, in the ratings and things. It, like, again, as a story element, it worked there. Here, where you have no authority figures, you know,
that's what they tried to do. They tried to do it again because, you know, oh, that's a great pick for Raw. Oh man, SmackDown stacking the lineup. What does it matter? They're just a show and a show. It's all WWE. It's one company.
Yeah.
And then when you have the authority, like you're talking about, there's no warring general managers against each other or anything, even per show. It's just Adam Pearce, WWE official.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
You need that like reason and that bit of the storytelling. And that's when to me, it works kind of best, but now, it doesn't quite work for the story anymore.
I hate it.
So I like the idea. I like the concept. And in fact, here, I've been watching a bit more of, I think I've talked about this, the YouTube channel, Parts Fun Known. They've been playing through the GM mode of WWE 2K22, and now they've switched up to 2K23. And to me, one of the best episodes is their draft. And again, it's because you have warring GMs. They're trying to put on the best shows. You know, it's not necessarily for everybody because they don't have enough money to book everybody. But just to kind of see, you know, that like, who are they going to take for this season of the show? That makes it interesting to me. You know, who else are they going to sign along the way? You know, in the current series, Stone Cold got signed, you know, so he's having God, who did they put him with? He had just a terrible feud with somebody. Like it's like, if you were going to bring in Stone Cold, why would you partner or put him up against so-and-so? I forget. It was one of those where it's like, really? All right. So.
And truly, I believe it's because the extra push for this is because the shows are on two different networks between USA, i.e. NBC Universal, and Fox. And that's why the other belt is now here again, because each show, each network wants to have a champion. So you have to have a big name on every show, and you have to have this and divvy up the talent. And I don't know, partially the joining with Endeavor, UFC, maybe all of the networks will just decide to, I don't know, put it on ESPN. And so Raw and SmackDown will air on ESPN, and then, you know, can watch it on ESPN Plus or something to that degree. And that would be handy. Or they just go to the NBC product. I don't really care. I just want them to figure it out, make up their mind, and, you know, not have 3 belts, 4 belts, 10 championships that all mean nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I will agree. I really didn't feel like they needed another championship belt. You know, because they've had times where they haven't done stuff with the mid-card championships. So it's, why do you need this? And I actually saw a pretty good graphic that somebody put up that at the end of the next WrestleMania, I think it was like 40. It was a picture of Roman Reigns, and he had all three of the big championship belts. Mm-hmm. And then the next panel had Triple H unveiling a new belt. Mm-hmm. And it was WrestleMania 41, and here's Roman Reigns with 4 belts. And then Triple H, here's the new championship, and WrestleMania 43, here's Roman with all of them.
I don't like it. I want it to stop.
Oh, you don't want like 10 championships? Like, hey, maybe this is like maybe Oprah's one of the people booking this. It's you get a championship and you get a championship and you get a championship.
I mean, that's what it sounds like now. But on the one hand, I don't mind having a bunch of championships that are floating around in the mix. And again, I think of the late 90s, early 2000s, where you had the Cruiserweight Championship, the Light Heavyweight Championship, the Hardcore Champion. You had the World Heavyweight Championship. You had the WWE Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the United States Championship, and then, hell, we'll just throw in the European Championship as well, because the European Championship was in there as well. So, I mean, right?
I don't like that many champions, because then you're not working towards anything.
Well, here's my emphasis for going that direction, because you split them up between the shows, kind of like what you do now, but they can show up on the other show every so often. And you can have those different levels of championships, top to bottom, where, you won your first championship. It's the, U.S. championship, whatever. But you're working towards something else, developing your skills, learning how to be a champion, and really giving them something to do. And you can build all those storylines like they used to do. And I would prefer that, aside from creating another random championship, just so then they can have, that on another show or something to that degree. But anyway, that's pretty much about all that we need to really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how far are we from Backlash? Because
that's next week.
Is it next week?
Yep, they are going to Puerto Rico next Saturday.
All right. So by the time this comes out, Backlash has happened.
Yep.
Yeah. So doesn't do me any good to say, hey, join us. We'll be live streaming after Backlash.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll be live streaming after Backlash.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of chat about your guy CM Punk lately.
You are correct. And before we move to the other side of, I mean, it somewhat fits into the WWE realm, but it'll take us to the other side of the wrestling aisle. So the first rumor I just wanted to share before we kind of start to shift is that allegedly WrestleMania 41 is strongly leaning toward Minneapolis and the U.S. Bank Stadium. So start saving your pennies now, I guess. But now with CM Punk, that's right. You're talking about the best in the world. He was at Monday Night Raw this week. It was in Chicago. He stopped by. He was talking to some of his former colleagues, people whom he still gets along with, and talked to him. Even had a word with Triple H. and asked if he could stick around for the show, and Vince McMahon said no. So he left. But kind of cool, CM Punk actually backstage prior to a WWE event. First time in 8 years.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people making a big deal about that, and I don't know. I don't know that I would ever foresee Punk going back to WWE.
Maybe in a couple years when Vince is like unable to insert himself, like physically unable.
It's never going to happen, Kidder. Kidder, I don't know how familiar you are with like the Warhammer 40K lore, but I will tie this into wrestling. But in Warhammer 40K, the lore is that there was this great emperor of mankind who helped spread mankind across the galaxies and the universes, but he was eventually betrayed by his sons and mortally wounded, and he was basically encased in this great golden throne, and people now have to sacrifice like thousands of souls to him every day to keep him alive so that he can continue to rule over everything. And this is what's going to happen with Vince. Eventually, like, he's going to be in some like weird like life support thing that still allows him to control everything. It's going to happen, man. Mm-hmm. It'll be like a giant, like almost like iron lung. He's trapped in it. He never says anything. It just puts out a printout like every like Monday night, like 30 minutes before the show starts. He goes, "Here's the booking,"
Suddenly turns into the face of Vince, a la Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a geeky Warhammer reference in wrestling.
Great.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just trying to hit that algorithm. I mean, those Warhammer fans, they're going to be like, "Ooh, what this? They talked Warhammer on this thing? Maybe I'll check it out." It's not going to work that way, but
probably not. No.
Anyway,
the other news with CM Punk is that he is his return to AEW is imminent, and there's a new AEW show Saturday nights, 2 hours in length, live like Dynamite, and it's supposed to be called AEW Collision. It's supposed to debut June 17th in Chicago, and that's apparently when CM Punk will make his return. And this will be very much like the WWE draft, where people on one show will be stuck for the most part on one show, and on the other show stuck on the other show again for the most part. Allegedly, the Elite will be headlining Dynamite, and Chris Jericho and others will be on Collision. And also, apparently, FTR will be on Collision.
First, I mean, fine if they want to do a new show, although why they aren't, like, working in, like, Ring of Honor, because you have that.
Mm-hmm. They'll probably bring in more of the talent because they cycle matches through and the titles and whatnot.
Right, but I mean, you could have called it like AEW Ring of Honor. I'm just saying, because you have it. Because truthfully, Kidder, Collision, stupid name.
Damage Control?
Yeah, it's right up there with Damage Control. I mean, I don't know. Collision, it's like you have Dynamite, you have Rampage, and you have Collision. Which it sounds more like a fender bender.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. It's not exciting. It's. So I don't like the name, and that's why I guess I say like you have Ring of Honor. Use that. You can still market it as AEW Ring of Honor.
AEW Saturdays of Honor. How long did it take us to come up with that? 2 minutes?
Or AEW's Rings of Saturday.
Well, that's how she rolls.
I mean,
But
I'm just saying stupid name, and I think you could have done something better. But it doesn't surprise me that they're going to do kind of a brand split and
to some degree they do now, because there are people who show up on Rampage more than others who show up on Dynamite.
Yeah, but that's much more of and I've never been to an AEW taping, so I don't know if Rampage is first or second. But
A lot of times they do those shows on different nights. And so they will record AEW Dark Elevation and then Rampage afterward. And then those who get the Dynamite show will see, the 2 hours live of Dynamite, and typically they'll have other matches before it, potentially Dark Elevation matches as well.
Yeah. That's fine. It is what it is. But yeah, it sounds like Punk is coming back and he's trying to figure out who he can work with. So
sounds like it will be Chris Jericho at this point. Also, the idea is that there will be debuts because this will be a brand new show. So they'll try and bring people back, maybe even some new names and names floating around. Not really a new name, but of course, the person who hasn't been present for quite some time, the Redeemer, Miro. That's one big name, even though he is still technically part of the company. Kota Ibushi, there's another name for you, potentially.
Wow.
Here's one that I think is a bit on the outside of the crazy limits, Goldberg. And the reason I say that it's on the outer ledge of Crazy Town is because he is getting up there. He wants a retirement match with WWE, and he's been working with them for basically 20 years.
Yeah, I don't think Goldberg will switch. Also, just on Kota Ibushi going to Collision and not Dynamite is a surprising. He's got a very long history with Kenny Omega, including being a tag team called the Golden Lovers. So kind of a surprise that they would put him on a show that doesn't have the Elite, but
potentially, because obviously this is purely speculation. Final name, Mercedes Moné.
Yeah, I don't buy that one. She just got an extension with the company she's working with over in Japan. So it's not to say it couldn't happen. I just don't think it's going to be right away. So I think truthfully, and I don't know where you're getting this list from, Kidder, but I think that they just went through and listed off anybody who is kind of floating around out there. So I think Kota Ibushi's contract is coming up or is up with New Japan. So I think they're just kind of speculating.
That's why I throw it out there that it's purely speculation.
Yeah, but I think it's like of the wildest sense,
Even Bobby Fish, because he's currently on contract or under contract with Impact.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Kidder, I finished this blueberry sour.
Good.
I'm ready to drink something better. At least I'm hoping it's better.
Okay.
Are we all done with the wrestling talk, or do you have more tidbits of information?
Well, the Elite just took out Takashita, and Blackpool Combat Club still together. They're taking out pretty much everybody. This you might be interested in. Adam Cole was getting his ass whipped, and Orange Cassidy and Bandito, who had a match earlier in the show for the International Championship, came out to save him against the Jericho Appreciation Society, but it was 4-on-3. Suddenly, the music hits, and Roderick Strong runs out to join Adam Cole, baby. Apparently, WWE didn't re-sign him, partially due to the soft freeze of hiring.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that he ended up over there, because he's the last member of what was their name?
Undisputed Era?
Yes, Undisputed Era. Yeah, because it was Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish,
Kyle O'Reilly.
and Kyle O'Reilly. Yes.
I got you.
No, listen, man. Has it been a week? It has been a week. We had our site summit this week, an opening of a new exhibit, National History Day. I have walked, or at least done, probably close to 20, 25 miles. No, folks. Kidder is not applauding my exercise regime. The Avs scored. I want to clear that up for the audio listeners or such. It's
Jack Johnson. Also, I do want to bring this update to you since it's a quick little snippet. In the second intermission, it's the Dallas Stars in St. Paul facing the Minnesota Wild. Dallas Stars 3, Minnesota 0. Tony Khan talked about the Owen Cup coming up, Double or Nothing, and then it's happening during their Canada tour. And we'll go through the Forbidden Door pay-per-view in Calgary, Alberta, Canada in July. It was a very awkward video of him reading off of the teleprompter. All right.
I was going to say, since you said tournament, the thing that I've always wanted one of these wrestling companies to do, nobody ever has, but I think it would be something. Especially like if you want to do, say, King of the Ring or a cup for this. I want to see the tournament where it's everybody. Like it's the entire roster.
Top to bottom. Well, then it's going to happen just like the stupid draft where you get just people here and people there, like, well, I don't know, and then it just
I actually think that you could do it, and it would propel some storylines. Like you could build off of it. You know, somebody gets mad that they get beaten, so they interfere in that next person's match, and you spin them off to a feud, and you know, it would go fairly quick. And you could maybe do some like larger, like multi-man matches, you know, to maybe whittle it down a little bit. But I always wanted to see a tournament that was more than like, well, here's 8 guys we're not using at the moment. Let's have a tournament of these 8 guys. You know, I think you could,
and I'd rather within one night.
Yeah, I would rather see it be one of these bigger kind of things that, you know, plays out over months. We could fill out our brackets. You know, I want a March Madness of wrestling.
Something that actually matters, unlike March Madness.
Hey, I came in like 20th place in our agency bracket.
I get for playing.
Well, you know, I could play for free, and I chose my bracket based off a random number generator. So it's all right.
You remember what I did last year with the March Madness bracket?
No, I don't.
Okay, so they forced me to play. and it was like $10. So I donated $10 to the cause. But I started in the top left and worked my way down. And here is how I did it. And I don't have the app on my phone anymore. I had a coin flip app on my phone. And I went, so it was level playing field for everyone on the sheet. The person or school in the top line was heads, and the school in the second line was tails. So I literally went top to bottom, flip, heads, tails. That one wins. Heads, tails. This one wins. And then again, second round, same thing, all the way to the center, and then went down the right side, same thing. Heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, all the way to the championship. It was very, very bad. It wasn't last, but
yeah,
it was completely random.
Yeah, that's kind of what this was. This was me using a random number generator to pick numbers that were going to go. And I did okay. Grand scheme of things. But okay, Gator, we've been out. We've been teasing what's on tap round 2.
Yeah.
I think it's time we have a drink. I have a feeling it's going to be a long drink. Yeah.
Probably since 1952.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right, folks. We kind of have the same drink. I say kind of. Again, I hinted at it last week that I was going to be having this because JS was drinking it. Because again, I'm always relevant. But I have the Finnish long drink cranberry version, which is 5.5% alcohol by volume. And it is gin with natural cranberry and juniper berry flavors and carbonation, colored with elderberry. But Kidder is rocking the original long drink.
Oh, this is the original? I thought it was the last one because it says the finish. Woo!
Kidder, leave the dad jokes to me, okay? Just.
Well, it's gluten-free, so there you go. 12 fluid ounces, 5.5% alcohol by volume, and this is out of North Carolina. A long drink company, in fact. But hey, a sign of the times and a sign of good luck, the Ball Corporation aluminum in the long drink cans, the finish. This one, the blue can, apparently the original, a traditional citrus gin with natural grapefruit and juniper berry flavors and carbonation. Now, I don't know if yours has the same story on the side here, Jaco.
It does.
Oh, so long drink is a top-selling category of alcohol in Finland, now available in America. The roots of long drinks go all the way back to the 1952 Summer Games in Finland, when the country of only 4 million people was still recovering from the Second World War. Concerned with how to serve drinks quickly enough to all the visitors, the government commissioned the creation of a revolutionary new liquor drink, and so the first long drinks were born. Now, this legendary taste has finally been brought to America by the next generation of Finns who want the world to experiencing the refreshing and unique Finnish long drink. Available online at thelongdrink.com.
Yeah.
How's that?
And Kidder, I do believe when I had this before, and I'm pulling up the Local Geeks handy dandy spreadsheet just for my own clarification on this. But I believe that I rated that version that you have a 5 out of 5.
Holy crackers.
Yeah, I really liked these, and I liked them enough that I actually went out and I did rate it a 5 out of 5. I actually went out and bought the 6-pack that I shared one with you.
Well, thanks for that. First of all, the scent. You get that grapefruit right at the top, and it's not very piney. So I can appreciate that out of the gin. You get like the good part of the gin. And I already took a sip. I was very impatient and thirsty.
I saw.
It kind of reminds me of a Fresca.
I could see that, but yeah, I mean it doesn't have that overly powerful juniper taste, and that grapefruit just comes in just nice and pairs with it beautifully. I
do like the mesh that's there. It's a very, very good duet of flavors. Solid 4 from me. My favorite of the gin drinks is still the gin tonic pineapple that used to be the original one that used to be at Humpback Sally's. May it rest in peace.
I can see that. And but kudos, Kidder, because I know you're not a big gin drinker. So
yeah,
I'm glad to hear that you. I'll take a 4 out of 5 from you. But
thanks for bringing the gin and juice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I haven't tried this cranberry one. I was waiting to capture your thoughts on yours. So, ooh, that's good too. I'm not a big cranberry fan usually, but I enjoy that pairing as well. But it's a really nice kind of flavor combination. A duet, as Kidder so eloquently put it. I'm going to steal it. Yeah, I like this one just as much as I like the other one. Kidder, this is another 5 out of 5 for me. I think I have found a new favorite non-beer beverage, because I mean, Cold Smoke is still number 1 in my heart, but
it's a long drink.
I'm going to have to pick up some more of these of this one too. I'm looking forward to summer, Kidder. I'm looking forward to sitting out on my deck, sipping on one of these, enjoying the night air.
It is perfect for you. A long drink for the long drinker.
Exactly.
They should sponsor you or the show.
Yeah. No, this is good stuff. Good stuff. And hey, Kidder, since I mentioned Cold Smoke, I know it's kind of hard to see at the light, but up behind the old Darth Vader helmet back there, Kidder's giving me the signal that there's a fight going on. At least I'm pretty sure that. Hard to see up there, but I actually, the local geek shared with us that there's a company called Alpine Touch that has made a cold smoke, basically a meat rub. And my wife and kids actually purchased some for me as just you're an awesome dad gift. So it's been up on my set for a little bit. I'm looking forward to getting some tasty meat and trying it out. It's
smoking the meat.
Yeah. Till then, it's set dressing, but I'm looking forward to trying it.
I thought you said it was a seasoning, not a dressing.
Yeah. Kidder, I'm excited about something.
Well, this could be any number of things.
Oh, it's one thing. I haven't talked about this in quite a while, but I got that. Well, actually, so here's what happened. I was uploading one of our videos to YouTube. Yeah, so they'd be up and ready to go. And what do I see? I see a suggested video from the Geo Wizard, who, if you've been following this channel, you know where I'm going with this. He is the creator of the Straight Line Mission challenge videos. And he's got a new one, Kidder. It launched just this week. He is trying his 4th attempt to cross Wales, something that he said he was not going to do because he'd kind of given up. He's had a bad run, and spoilers on the first 3 runs, but he his first run he burnt his food at his campsite, like on purpose, and then ran low on energy and had to quit. The second time, he went with a partner who had a medical condition that flared up and forced them to quit. The third time, he went with his brother, and unfortunately, his GPS system caused some problems and caused them to not really succeed. So he was kind of like, I'm done. I'm going to call this a victory. But he has, because he hasn't ever been fully successful at this, there's some other people who said, well, we're going to do it. We're going to complete some challenges, including a group that is completed another challenge that he failed, which was to go do a straight line across Scotland. These two guys did it. And they made it across Scotland in a straight line. And they announced that their next country that they're going to do is Wales. And he's like, no, wait. I started this to be the first person to cross Wales in a straight line. I need to be the guy that does this. He contacted them, and they were gracious enough to give him a chance to do it. So he quickly trained and packed and prepared, and he is attempting once again to walk across Wales in a straight line. He's got a different strategy this year. He chose a line that had fewer farms and farm fields and more wilderness. He's normally kind of avoided those because you can run into things like cliffs and such that make it almost impassable. And he's trying to get across in 4 days. It's a longer route, a harder route, and such. So the first day video has been posted. I've watched it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing him go through this. And Kidder, I will say with this route, because I know we always talk about it, he has far less trespassing that he has to do on this route. That's
good.
Yeah. If folks haven't heard me talk about this, the goal really is to walk in a straight line and to deal with any obstacle that comes your way. But that also means that you sometimes have to go through other people's property, and he's not seeking or getting permission before he does. So he often dresses in camo. He tries to sneak through. He's only been caught once, really. And that was during his crossing in Scotland, where he got caught by a farmer who then called the police on him. And they kicked him out of the country because due to COVID, they were under severe lockdowns. And so technically he was in Scotland illegally. So that happened. So I watched that. I'm looking forward, Kidder, to seeing how he does on this run and watching every week. I'm so excited. I had to I uploaded our video, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to sit and spend the next 45 minutes watching this because it's like, I want to see. I also found he did, the Geo Wizard did a collaboration video with a group that they are, I don't know if there's a pronunciation for it, but I'll just spell it out. It's STORROR. They're a parkour group, and they wanted to try a straight line mission in their home territory in England. So they're doing kind of like a, not across the whole country. I don't know what the right term would be. So think of it more like a county is what they're going across. But it's a group of parkour guys, and they asked the Geo Wizard to make them a line. And the Geo Wizard, being that he didn't have to go across this line, was a bit of a dick and put these guys through some really tough obstacles. I'm most of the way through the first part of it. It's okay. There's like 6 or 7 of them, and so they keep switching cameras on it, and it's okay. It's all right. I mean, it is kind of interesting because these are guys who are free runners who are used to like scaling buildings, jumping, all of that. But here they are like in the wilderness hiking, and it's a little bit different for them. So it's interesting.
Hardcore parkour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I'm still, Kidder, I'm addicted to these straight line missions. I love them. They're great. They're a lot of fun. But I'll keep updating. So get ready, folks, for probably like the next. I mean, it could end next week. I don't know. I don't know how successful he was, but hopefully for like the next 4 or 5 weeks, I'm going to be talking straight line missions and giving you updates on if there's anything cool or exciting. And you know what? Link in the show notes to it if you want to watch along with Howard. And, by the time this episode comes out, there will be a couple, you'll have a couple of his videos out so you can get caught right up. So, good times. Speaking of getting caught up, Kidder, if people have been paying attention to the show, you're watching the Avs game. I think it's time for a playoff hockey update. How we doing?
It's do or die tonight. way to lead that one in. And Howard, I blame you because you were watching the game on Wednesday night, and the Avs lost that one.
I wasn't watching. It was on behind me.
That you had I have the text message proof that you had. Or the luck, shall we say, that somebody changed the channel on the TV where you could see it. Whether you did it or somebody else did it, but the universe made it happen, and I'm calling shenanigans, and therefore, because the Avs lost, it's your fault.
So I have to correct myself on that text, Kidder. I thought they had turned the game on. Really, what it was the Bruins Panthers game was on. And they were showing highlight clips of the Avs game once it started and was going.
Right.
So it was one of those, like, I happened to look up to check that score, and I'm like, the Avs game is on. Hey, Kidder, they just turned it on my screen. But
that sounds like a likely excuse to try and not have as much blame for them losing on Wednesday.
Kidder, you know me. I am honest about if I actually am watching the game. I mean... I'm not going to
watch that part of it.
I saw bits and pieces. I mean, I'm not going to fully lie. I mean, come on, my team is on. You don't think I every once in a while turned around and looked like, hey, what do we got for a score? I
swear, man, I almost feel like you can only watch hockey in the off season. That's the only time that you're going to be allowed to watch hockey. No more. Done.
Why do you think I've been following so much Minnesota Wild news this winter? I mean, it's because I don't care if they lose.
Yeah.
you know? It's like I might as well cheer them on, or at least pay attention to how their season's going, because it doesn't affect the Avs.
And a score update, because we've been keeping track of the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild, currently in the third period with just over 15 minutes remaining in that game. Dallas Stars 3, the Minnesota Wild 0.
Is that an elimination game for the Wild?
Yeah! Woo-hoo! What? That would be 3-1 Colorado Avalanche. And the second period, 3 minutes remaining there. Now, the series, as you so kindly mentioned, is in progress. And so there's not a winner at this point. Can go either way. And I have more information about how it could go anyway. But right now, the Stars lead the series 3-2. So
if this game finishes, then the Wild are out and gone. And playing the golf on the links.
Yeah. Hang on. So let's get it done. Let's make it happen.
I do have to ask, Kidder, and it's because, again, I haven't been really following because, again, I don't want to jinx our team more than I usually do. But if I'm not mistaken on where we are bracket-wise, does that mean that if we beat the Kraken in Game 7, our next opponent is the Stars? Is that correct?
I believe so. I don't have the bracket in front of me in the bracketology. The graphics department didn't give me that prep, but I do believe that the next step will be the winner of the Stars Stars Wild. I was just looking at the screen because one of our players is against the board and looks like he's messed up, and it's Cogliano. Looks like they just railed him into the boards, and thankfully he was able to get up with the trainer. But Eberly, number 7, straight up boarded him right into, with his head down, and right about here are the boards. Oh, yeah, his head came down and went straight into the boards. And there goes Cogliano out to the locker room. 2 minutes left in the second period. Avs lead 3-1.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, Kidder, I looked up the bracket, and yes, I am correct. Of course, the bracket I looked up was the one we talked about during the Impossible Music Challenge. That was like the EA Sports.
It's in the game
simulated version, but at least tells me the answer.
Perfect.
I do have another question for you, Kidder.
Yeah.
It pertains to our house. I saw an interesting post on Facebook today, and I'm hoping you can enlighten me some more.
I think I know where we're going with this. Go ahead.
Because it's about Cale Makar.
Oh, yes.
And it was about some penalty he took and how it was a no call.
Yes.
It became a major, then a minor, and now a suspension. Is he suspended right now? Is that?
So, what happened in game 3, I believe that was, because this would be this is game 6. So it would have been game 4. Makar was chasing one of the Kraken players, and I think it might have been Eberly, into the Avs zone, was able to break up the play. The puck went by the net, and I don't remember if Georgiev maneuvered it away or it just went wide of the net, but Eberly, went out toward the boards, was pretty much fully standing, and Makar was right on him, and Makar checked him like this into the boards like a normal shoulder check would be, and like a wuss, completely collapsed and laid there motionless until the officials blew the whistle, and then the players came over and like helped him up, and they made a big deal out of it, like he was run through the glass or something, or his head was like this, like what literally just happened. That should have been a major penalty because he was boarded like this. In this specific instance, Makar was coming up on Eberly like this as they were moving toward the board, and a check like this into the boards. What happened? He was down playing the injured card. They blew the whistle. All right. The officials got together. Now, what would probably happen in any other officiating game is they would look at it. Okay, he's injured. They'd probably figure that because they can't look at the the replays of it to review it unless a major is called. Okay, so they probably wouldn't call something if they actually had a general consensus of legitimacy about them. In this case, the officials got together, the 4 of them, and they decided to call a major penalty. So at this time, calling the 5-minute major for interference was the call. They can now review the replays. So they reviewed the replays, and as a result of the replays, they then, because with a major in the NHL, you can stick with the major if it's, blood. That's a big one. That's the enhancement where you get a 5-minute major. If there's any blood, it's a major. But If it's severe, it's a major. And then what they can do is if it's not to the criteria that a major penalty should be assessed, they can downgrade it to just a 2-minute minor penalty. And that's what happened here. Makar went in the box, the Kraken scored, and on with our lives. Well, Makar had a meeting with the NHL Player Safety Board, and they not only assessed him with, I believe, a fine, which, you know, how they like to throw out the fines, but they suspended him for 1 game. So here's what I don't quite understand with that level of it. I've already talked about how it looked, what happened in the game. I'm sure by now Howard has also seen the clip. Now, with that sort of a call, an interference call, mind you, not a boarding penalty, not a roughing penalty, not any kind of other, fighting or any other major, contact to the head. Simple. Any other penalty. It was just interference, okay? How is that to the level of a suspension, even if it's just 1 game? It's Makar's first offense. It wasn't negligent. It wasn't malicious. Like he didn't charge into him, right? It was literally a check against the glass, and the guy is a wuss. And he sold it enough to make it look like Makar completely railroaded him and destroyed him. And what do you do? So I think not only the officials screwed up, but I think the NHL Player Safety Board screwed up in this instance, because there have been way more dangerous plays from other people and other teams that deserve being suspended and even kicked out of the league. Just go back and watch my rant about Jordan Binnington, that pile of trash, and go from there. So, was it worthy of it? No, I don't think so. What just happened in this game? Absolutely. That would be a suspendable offense for boarding, contact to the head, negligent play, especially if you were setting the precedent to that Cale Makar check into the glass.
So while you were talking, I actually pulled the play up, and have watched it now and watched the replays of it. And I will say, it is an interference penalty. Okay, just because of the guy's already shot the puck, he didn't have the puck.
Hit. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a late hit. You could call it interference. I'm fine with the 2-minute minor on interference. It does look like an ugly hit. I mean, he does go shoulder to shoulder, which is fine. But it does kind of look from the angle like Makar kind of gets his forearm in there a little bit on the neck. And it could just be the angle. I can't tell how much actual pressure. I'm not saying it's a punch, but just, as he hits the guy and he falls back, it just looks more brutal than it really is. But I will say there is a problem in the NHL, and I'm trying to remember what team talked about it. Right now, there's a lot of players who are embellishing on these hits to get penalties drawn so that you have a better chance with the power play and scoring. And so I will say, I don't think it was it wasn't the worst hit I've ever seen. I don't think it's 1-game suspension worthy. I've seen much worse. Penalty, yes. A minor penalty, sure. Perfect. But it's not a 1-game suspension.
Yep.
So there's my take. Quickly having viewed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I sometimes wonder though if you don't get like the board of player safety, like the fines. I see because that just goes back to the NHL. So pays their salaries. But I kind of wonder sometimes if they don't assess like a suspension, even like a 1-game suspension, as a make good. So like the Seattle Kraken fans aren't like, yeah, it's like, no, we suspended him. We fined him and suspended him the first offense. That kind of, deal. Kind of like, we've gotten upset. We've seen Avs players get hits and like nothing happens from it.
That crap was happening that entire game. And so you can imagine my dismay of how absolutely trash officiating was going on. And then you have that happen. I mean, you got to call these games down the middle. And if you can't find officials who can call it that way, maybe it just needs to go back to the main, I can't remember what they call it, but it's, Hockey Central, where all the games in Toronto are being watched. All the games are watched in Toronto, okay? The War Room, I think is what they call it. Whatever, right? And that's where they make the final call in a lot of these. All right. The light goes on. They saw a penalty, and it's just like NHL 2K23, where you did something in the game, and the game calls a penalty on you. In fact, let's get AI involved, and the AI just watches all the plays, and then it's an even playing field. There's a penalty that's the AI off of all of the camera angles determines that it's a penalty, and it's a 2-minute or a 5-minute, and there's oversight by Toronto.
Yeah.
I just solved the problem with the officiating for all sports.
I don't think the AI would work probably quite as well, because again, how do you assess some of these things? It'd be a little tricky. You know.
I'm sure it'll catch up in the next year. It'll be fine. Even if they did it now, this year, with the AI, the chat bots, everything, they focus that energy into reviewing what's a penalty, what's not a penalty in all of NHL. They get it in there, and there's still the oversight by the War Room in Toronto. It's kind of like how it finds like your word processing document when you type a wrong word, it's misspelled, or you type the wrong grammar, and it puts a line underneath it. It's like a flag. Boop! This is messed up. This needs to be addressed.
Yeah, but I think that there would be some issues there. I mean, it's not the same as when it's picking out a misspelled word. And also, let's not forget with like the chat, GPT, I think is what it is, and the Google Bard. Google Bard couldn't even make us a Bloody Mary, kidder. Do you really want to trust our hockey officiating to an AI that can't make a Bloody Mary?
Frankly, I think we're in about the same spectrum right now, so it's only worth trying. Let's just, you know what? And I'm ready for Terminator and T2 to happen. So let's just get it over with. We have the Cyberdyne building here in Bismarck on the north end. I'm sure you've seen it because it's a state-owned business building. Yeah, business. They operate as a business sometimes. But there you go. The Cyberdyne building lives. It's already here. Let's get Skynet going and start it in hockey officiating.
Yeah, let's not. I say no. I'm not sold on this, kidder. I'm not.
Oh. Well, maybe if there's a company called Google listening, or Microsoft or even Apple, and I'm saying it obnoxiously slow so the algorithm knows what words I'm saying, they can work on it. Present a piece of software that works, analyzes, enhances. Let it go. Do it. I'm out.
I was going to say, Kidder has just finished his long drink. I got about a third of mine left.
Yeah, it wasn't that long of a drink. It was pretty good, though.
It is, and I'm enjoying this one. I'm trying to nurse it through the end of this show.
Gotcha. I figure you wanted to know with the update as well from the other teams around the NHL, because the Avalanche won the Western Conference, and so we already know that part of the bracket. But Hurricanes and Islanders. The Hurricanes pull off the victory in overtime, 2-1, eliminating the Islanders from the playoffs, 4-2. And then, here's one for you. The Bruins and the Panthers. You know, the Bruins, they're kind of a juggernaut through the end of the season. Long winning streak of games, lots of goals, you know, that sort of thing. Well, guess what there, Jaco? It's going into Game 7. And this is what I was talking about tonight, apparently, because I didn't actually watch it, but caught the beginning of overtime. Or no, excuse me, no overtime. It was the end of the third period. There's 5 minutes left. That's when I tuned in, because the Avs game was supposed to be on. The Bruins had a score of 5. And the Panthers had a score of 5. And the commentators made sure to mention that, and if I caught it correctly, and I haven't watched the highlights, but apparently all 5 of the Panthers' goals were scored in the third period. And there was 5 minutes left of the game. So they scored 5 goals. And when I was watching, they scored a 6th goal. So awesome there. And then I wasn't quite paying attention as the game was wrapping up. But the Bruins pulled their goalie to try and gain the advantage there. But the Panthers, empty netter and pick up the victory 7-5. Meaning they scored 7 goals in the third period to pick up the win over the Bruins. And that is going to Game 7. And that will be on Sunday. And you might want to know what's happening over on the East. They play again tomorrow. But the Lightning and the Maple Leafs, making it a bit interesting there. Toronto leads the Lightning series 3-2. The Devils have taken over against the Rangers, taking the series lead 3-2 there. Very happy that the Devils picked it up, figured out what they were trying to do, and have now taken control, because the first 2 games they got smoked. And unfortunately, with Vegas, the Jets only won 1 game, and the Golden Knights win the series 4-1, and now wait for the second round. So there's your hacky update. News standings. There's 3 minutes left in the third period. Again, with the Stars and the Wild. Stars leading 3-1.
Yeah, well, still a lot of hockey to be played, and we'll keep talking about it either until we win the cup or we're eliminated from the playoffs. Whichever comes first.
Or a hack up a lung, because pretty much since after this show last week, I've been like, I sound better than what I have the rest of the week.
It's all these late nights you're putting in, Kidder, doing that trucking.
Let me tell you smoke the straights and you're out there late at night. Long hauls, heavy hauls, mountain passes, up, down, sideways. It takes a toll, man. It takes a toll.
I'm surprised that it's kept you as engaged as it has, because, I mean, really, it's just picking up stuff and delivering it somewhere else. And I mean, I just don't know. I don't see the appeal.
Well, there's a couple pieces of added excitement, if you want to call it excitement, maybe interest to add to that appeal. Number one, lots of customization and extra mods that you can download through the store on Steam that allow you to customize the game and enhance it even more. Very cool. So the second part, Rude Boy and I can play Convoys, is what they call it, but it's multiplayer online. So you can go get jobs together, or you can just play on a server, each do different jobs, go in different places, and then just seeing what kind of shenanigans you can get into. Like me barreling down one of the Colorado Rockies highways up there in the high altitudes with, 70,000 pounds of cargo in 2 trailers behind me going 95, passing cars on the left, on the right, trying not to hit them, things like that.
Yeah, you ever jump the truck off the runaway truck ramp?
I tried that yesterday just to see what it would do, and it's not as cool as you think. You drive into it and nothing really happens. It's more of a glitch zone than not. I think the creators figure that you can avoid that as much as possible, and it's there for aesthetics because it's a real life thing.
But where's the fun in that? If this is truthfully a simulator, a simulation, a accurate portrayal of trucking.
Oh, I hear you.
I mean, not that you actually ramp your truck off of the runaway truck ramp. They are kind of designed to like slow you to a stop.
Yeah, they stop you.
But yeah, I get that you could play it multiplayer. I don't know. It's just not my. It is not what I would play if I had time.
Mm-hmm.
It's. I don't know that I would be as engaged with that. Now, if it was a board game version, maybe. But I.
Right.
Oh boy.
Here's. I'm not actually playing right now. Just so you know, this is a replay from earlier, and I actually have 3 trailers here. You can see that. I don't care about any traffic laws because I have trailers and I have flashing lights on my truck, so I can do what I want.
Yeah. Well, don't. So, am I not mistaken, or don't you get fined for breaking the traffic laws in this game? Doesn't that hurt your overall profit?
It's true. You can and you do. For this, I turned them off. But I have run many a red light and been fined $700 to $1,400 depending if an officer is present in the game or not. I've also been fined for going 25 over the speed limit. Yes, going 95 in a semi down the interstate. Yes. If you look in the comments on the bottom left corner, you can see that, dang, It's me responding to another comment, which you can't see at this point. However, you can see that here I thought you were interested in the trucking. And then you can support the channel by visiting our Streamlabs link, and that is streamlabs.com/beerbluesps. The comment above it was a spam comment. An account joined the channel, as in watching the channel there. Subscribed, because I have it set to subscriber only chat, and you only have to subscribe for a second to be able to type into the chat. But it was a copy and paste message of, hey, we have bots and streams and we can help us, and we can help you, and you'll get followers, and it's very interactive, and you just go to this website and you should do that. Just support us. Go to streamlabs.com/beerbluesbs, and then you can support our stream. You see Lazy Goalie's name floating down there. That was from our live stream for the 100th episode, where he tossed $25 our way to help support the show, keep us on the rails. And he is still the top and last contributor. So it's still there, still hanging out.
We will be doing more streams, at least of our wrestling content. So there's that. And who knows? Maybe one of these days we will do more with the main show. We'll see. Yeah, that tends to be some work. So
yeah, it can be. So there's my truck. Lazy Goalie was floating in there. If I go back into the daytime, there you go. There's cruising through Arizona or something. Yep, there I am, floating through Arizona. I was on a long 1,000-mile trek to drive up to where a job was. And so as you're bobtailing, as it's called, driving your truck without a trailer, there's a lot of power, so you can drive. So there I am, going around these curves at 85 miles per hour in a 65 zone, and just kind of going wherever. And I own this road. Don't mind me. Excuse me, bus. I mentioned customization as well, and that's something that's really cool. So here you can go in the garage. There's different pieces. There's the exhaust stacks. You can have basically no exhaust showing where it goes under the truck, or you can have one top pipe or the double. And there I have some extra lights up on the top of the truck. So very, very interested in adding those extra lights. And with one of the mods, we were able to add the lights onto the grill of the truck as well. So I have a few extra lights on the truck now. But you can customize the wheels, the wheel type, that is, the brand. You can customize the hubs, even down to the lug nuts and the colors of those. There's quite a bit of customization that goes into it. And even the controls. You can control the windshield wipers, your turn signals, high beams, if they're on or not. Even customization into the cab. There's the lights. Look at that. Nice and lit up for you there, Jaco. I know you like the lights as much as I do, but what I really want to go to show you is inside the cab. And I know I was in the cab customizing at some point, and I gotta find where that was, if I can do that real quick, which I can hope that I can do real quick. There was one of the halls that I was going with there today, hauling a mine truck, the chassis for a dump truck, and it's an escort mission, so that's why all of the law enforcement is out there. But here's the pause menu. There's the missions. So that's a save. There's the mod menu, so you can download mods, add them to your game if you would like to partake in the modding. I wonder if I just did that off the stream. Anyway, there's a couple Easter eggs in the stream, and as I continue to stream, I have a feeling that even you, having watched a couple of the streams before, would enjoy seeing what I have in the cabin of the truck. And I'd start it up now, but I mean, it's, getting to be around a certain time.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In fact, I only got a few things left to talk about, Kidder. I mentioned board games. Well, I wanted to review one.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a new one. It's a card game, but it's called Doomlings. And I'll hold it up. The fancy deluxe box that I got. Doomlings is a simple little card game. 2 to 6 players. It's about 20 to 45 minutes to play. Very simple. Really what it is you're playing through a set of ages until a catastrophe happens, some end of the world-esque event. After the third catastrophe, the game ends and you score. But each round you are drawing a handful of cards and you play a card. And they're different. Basically, they're all different traits. Like you might have a rainbow horn, just one of the cards I grabbed, or you might suffer from boredom, or you might be parasitic. So you're playing different ones, and they give you different abilities and different ways to score. There are dominant traits, which have this lovely gold kind of border. So this is the heroic dominant trait, and you're limited on how many of these you can play. But me and the wife played this one night. It's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to playing it with more of the family. Just a great little card game that's kind of easy to learn. No real strategy. When Lefty and I played it, she was a little worried because a lot of times with new games and it's just the two of us playing, I'm a little bit more of a strategic and better player than she is. So there's always that worry that I'm just going to stomp her in it. But this game, you don't have to have a real, you don't have to be a tactician to play. In fact, it has one of the best paragraphs ever. And I'm going to just read it real quickly. Welcome to Doomlings. On your first playthrough, you might overthink your hand. Like there's some hidden perfect path to take. But when is this ever the case in life? Rest assured, there is no perfect card to play. So for now, play something cute, try some things, and trust that the cards will help you find your way. So just kind of saying, you don't have to be an expert at this. And she ended up beating me by 6 points. So that's how it goes. I got the deluxe version of it. It comes with all of the expansions, and probably the stupidest selling point was and 3 secret random foil cards. Okay. I didn't care about that part. I just kind of I can have the whole game, all of the expansions, and for $50. It doesn't even take up a lot of shelf space, but
a whole 3. They're very generous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really kind of interesting gimmick. It's kind of like trying to collect on the or cash in on the collectability aspect of it. I don't know. Which, speaking of Kidder, I've been following some terrible board game speculation One of my favorite board games is Arkham Horror: The Living Card Game, because it's like this great mix of like deck builder and RPG, and it's all in the Cthulhu based, lore. It's great. I love it. But some of the products are starting to go out of print, and so they have the way that the game kind of was sold was, for the longest time, you would buy the base set, and then you would buy like the first part of an expansion, and then you would have to buy every month a new part would come out, a new deck would come out, which would be a new scenario and some new cards. And being a living card game, you could always get it. You can always, it's not like Magic the Gathering, which was collectible card games. You get your booster pack, you open it up, and you get what you get. You might not be able to get everything that you might want. The thing with it was they do these campaigns like Dunwich Legacy, but then a couple months later they would release Return to Dunwich Legacy, which would release a few new cards for both the scenarios and such that would just change the flavor, so that if you've played that campaign several times, you could mix these components in and get a different taste and a different feel and change it up for yourself. Well, these Return to products are going out of print because Fantasy Flight has switched their model to, instead of releasing all these decks that you have to try and collect, to just, hey, here's the campaign. Here's all of the investigator cards in one box, and you can buy all of the scenario stuff in the second box, which I think is great. But because they've switched that, the Return to stuff is kind of going away. And so people are like selling this stuff and buying this stuff in droves because they're like, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to get this again. So it's just total FOMO going on. And I'm seeing like, for like a box like this, Kidder, with maybe like 50 to 100 cards, like selling for, $150, $200 online or more. It's
outrageous.
It really is. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of sad to me in some ways because, just it's going to be harder to find the stuff that you want. I wasn't really interested in the Return to stuff. I have a hard time getting that game to the table just because it is you need kind of a committed group to play. I just haven't had time lately. But it's interesting to see all of this wild, speculation in the board game market. So, yeah.
Speaking of wild, their season is done. The Stars win 4-2.
And on that news that you might either find great or saddening, Kidder, we've been talking for quite a while, and we're out of topics. And
there's 12 minutes left in the Avs game.
Yeah, you really think we can stall for 12 minutes?
Or just wrap it up and then I'll just sit and watch.
I mean, it's up to you. It wouldn't be the first time that I had teed up the cheap plugs and you threw me a curve. Mm-hmm, you're sitting there yawning.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't want you to
fall asleep. Late night trucking.
I know, but I don't want you to fall asleep during the show. That doesn't do well for the ratings if one of the hosts falls asleep during the show.
Here, I thought you were worried about me falling asleep while I'm on a long haul cross country trucking out there. Just, and then suddenly I'm careening off one of the very large cliffs in Colorado or something. No?
If you were maybe an actual long haul trucker, maybe.
What do you mean I'm not a long haul trucker?
I mean, in real life, Kidder, you are not a long haul trucker. You don't drive a truck. Yet.
How do you know?
But I'm pretty sure. You seem pretty available. I see you on Twitch streaming and
trucking.
Yes, in a virtual world.
That's just my AI interface to a real truck out in Colorado or Arizona. It depends where I am at the time. But you know what? That truck is out there and that truck is on the road. And trust me, because I've seen how people drive, that truck is out there and I'm getting goods to where they need to go.
Does any of those goods involve beer going to Texarkana?
Doesn't go over that far. They haven't made it past Texas yet.
Yeah, I noticed. This was me bringing it once again back around to Smokey and the Bandit.
Well, the DLC is on the way, and much like a new movie from these eras, you got to pay for the extra content if you want something of substance. Speaking of paying for substance, go to our website, beerbluesbs.com, and you can help pay to keep us on the air. Maybe that's why nobody is actually giving us money or buying us beer at this point. Aside from Local Geek. Thanks to Local Geek for and his, like I said, his network of spies out there getting us the tasty beverages from different places. Again, beerbluesbs.com. All you got to do is click the buy us a beer button on there, and you can buy us a beer, 2 beers, 3 beers, a 6-pack, 12-pack. Even if you don't feel like buying us a beer, you can buy us a sparkling water or something. Just help support the show, beerbluesbs.com. Another way to support the show is by visiting our merch store on the website, beerbluesbs.com. Click merch, and right there in the merch store, we have shirts, pint glasses, like this classy Beer Blues BS pint glass, the traditional logo by itself there. Perhaps Kidder's Old Fashioned, the perfect recipe, right there for you on a nice pint glass. And other things like stickers. If you want to show your support, you could put this on your vehicle or perhaps a trailer of your 18-wheeler. beerbluesbs.com for all of those, and order now and order often. We are also at streamlabs.com/beerbluesbs for donating to the stream / to the show, or the merch that's available there. There's some t-shirts and stickers there in a slightly different variety. So it's kind of like an exclusive web store that's a little bit different. Streamlabs.com/beerbluesbs. Please visit us there as well. Now, if you're watching us, thank you for doing that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/beerbluesbs. Click the thumbs up on the subscribe button there, and you don't even have to turn on notifications. We just appreciate you subscribing and watching the videos every week, putting out the new content, and you never know when we're going to be doing another one of these shows live. As for the wrestling review, well, there's one coming up in a week, and at this point, it's already a week ago. So you can visit us on the YouTube channel there, youtube.com/beerbluesbs. If you're more of the traditional podcaster and you like listening to our shows, we appreciate you listening to the show as well. And you can do that on any of the audio platforms, including YouTube podcasts, because we're on there too. So YouTube podcasts, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, including all of their music variants. Just subscribe to the Triple B on there. With those mentioned already, we are also on all of the audio services out there, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, TuneIn, IMDb, Podbean. We're also on Player FM, and I'm sure we're on more of them. Just search for Beer Blues NBS, and please subscribe. If you have an audio podcast service already and you like to listen 2 podcasts on that service. Just search for us, Beer, Blues, and BS, and click that subscribe right there on your phone or your tablet or your computer. Help us get to more people. We're helping you. Sharing is caring. I think I pretty much mentioned everything that's out there, Howie Blues, aside from social media. I mean, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You can join us on both of those platforms by liking or following the page. Search for Beer, Blues, and BS, or go to facebook.com/beerbluesbs, or on Instagram, instagram.com/beerbluesbs. That's, of course, if you're using a computer. If you're on the app itself, just search for Beer, Blues, and BS, and please subscribe. I say subscribe, but you don't actually have to subscribe. It's all free. We share some funny things on there, and then you can comment, give us your reaction. All of the above. Again, Beer, Blues, and BS on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, everything in between. And, of course, beerbluesbs.com. So, with they actually show the scoreboard with the time on there in the third period, coming from Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington. 8 minutes 36 seconds remaining in the third period there, with Colorado leading 3-1. He's Howard Blues. I'm the man, the myth, legend, Mark Kidder. Thank you for joining us for this and every episode of Beer, Blues, and BS. Remember to keep your glass at least half full. There is free beer tomorrow, and, well, we'll catch you on down that icy Stanley Cup playoff, Tuscan Highway. Have a good one, and we'll see you on the next episode of Beer, Blues, and BS.
You have been listening to a UA production of Beer, Blues, and BS. If you enjoyed the show, help others find out about it by rating the show or leaving a review at your podcast listening service of choice. Thanks for listening, and may your glass never be empty. UA Productions presents A Glimpse Behind the Curtain.
So, how's it been since I last saw you?
It's about the same.
You do any more trucking?
No, I was catching up on wrestling.
That explains topic 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be a topic.
Oh boy, I'm excited. I'm geared up.
You shouldn't be.
Well, listen. Here's why. I have a feeling it's going to be depressing, whatever you're going to talk about. But I have to note, Kidder, this is probably the first time ever in the actual run sheet that somebody put the word rant. Like, all of our rants have been like a bit more organic, spontaneous, on the fly. This is the first time that we've ever had somebody write down, at this point, I am going to rant. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the true word of rant because, there's a W in front of it, like wrestling.
Don't crush my hopes here, Kidder. I was so excited. I signed into the run sheet. I saw rant. I'm like, woo, content.
There'll be something. Uh-huh.
You're just dooming us right now because I know what that is.
Yeah, but you're not watching it, so.
Yeah, well, we saw how that worked out. Wednesday night.
Yeah, I know. I told you. You didn't leave early enough.
I left like before the first period was over.
Not early enough. And that
Couldn't
was
help
just
it.
you seeing Hackstall on the screen. So there, you just saw Seattle.
I don't think it works that way. I'm not 100%, but I don't think it works that way.
Oh, well.
All right. You ready to get this show on the road?
Oh, I got to start the trucking game?
No, I mean, actually start.
Oh.
Wait, I mean, start putting down the content. Start making it happen.
Yeah, we probably should.
All right.
Then I can get back on the road.
Yeah, exactly. I'm holding you up from your trucking. Okay, here we go.
I'm so glad the wild lost. I'm so glad the wild lost. I'm so glad the wild lost. They're not in it anymore.